Good news, friends. Are you willing to move to Canada and you are wondering which province to migrate to? Today's video apparently might help you make that decision as you learn about the fantastic news coming from Manitoba. Are you ready? I bet you are.
Before we proceed, my name is Peter, and I welcome you to Visa Pathfinders,
a channel dedicated to giving you up-to-date information about migrating to the world's main economies such as the United States, Canada, the UK, Australia, among others. To make the most of what we stand for on this channel, endeavor to subscribe to us and remember to smash the notification button. Thank you for doing so and we'll never disappoint you. Alright, let us continue. So guys, as a province that started the popular provincial nominee program commonly known as PNPs before it was adopted by other Canadian provinces apart from Quebec, a few days ago, Canada's Immigration Minister, Marc Miller, approved a request by the Government of Manitoba to extend the work permit of some 6,700 temporary workers who are mainly post-graduation work permit PGWP holders in Manitoba, who otherwise would have their work permit expired in this year 2024. As you might be aware, when students are done on their student visa in Canada, they are moved to a post-graduation work permit PGWP with the expiration determined by the length of their course of study. Apparently, it is expected that such people would transfer to a proper work visa, permanent resident if eligible, or return to their home countries at the end of such permit. However, what the Government of Manitoba have achieved by extending the temporary resident status for some nominees identified in the province's Provincial Nominee Program PNP mean a whole lot more stability and Canadian experience, which would evidently count towards their permanent residence application. The temporary measure means that 6,700 temporary workers may continue working while the province continues to process their PNP application. The province expects that eligible foreign nationals will receive an official nomination from Manitoba and eventually become permanent residents within 2 years. Newsflash! Recently, the Canadian ministers have been discussing measures to balance temporary and permanent resident arrivals and decrease the temporary resident population to 5% of Canada's total population. This move from Manitoba is obviously one way of achieving that. In that vein, IRCC says it is open to working with other Canadian provinces and territories to help transition more temporary residents into permanent residents to address national labor market needs. Manitoba's PNP letters mentioned earlier, Manitoba was the first province in Canada to establish a PNP. The province introduced the program in 1998 to attract newcomers who would otherwise be more likely to immigrate to one of Canada's large urban centres, such as Toronto or Vancouver.
The program proved so successful at spreading the economic benefits of immigration that it was implemented by all Canadian provinces and territories, with the exceptions of Quebec and Nunavut. IRCC data shows that 10,000 people in Manitoba transitioned from worker status to permanent residents in 2023. Between January and March this year, the province has issued 1,560 expressions of interest to skilled worker candidates, leading to 1,478 approvals. Data also shows that in 2022, 20% of all permanent resident admissions came through the PNP. Additionally, the Immigration Levels Plan Canada's admissions targets for permanent residents each year plans to welcome 110,000 new permanent residents by the end of 2024, and 120,000 per year in both 2025 and 2026 through the PNP changes to temporary resident levels. This measure is unique in Canada's immigration space and aligns with a previously announced priority for the year and in years to come. On March 21st this year, Minister Miller announced an intention to pursue more domestic draws to help transition temporary residents to permanent residents. Put another way, IRCC plans to work with newcomers already in Canada to help them become permanent residents, rather than increasing the previously uncapped number of temporary residents who arrive in Canada each year. In 2023, Canada had a temporary resident population exceeding 2.5 million people, or 6.2% of the total population. In 2023, 157,000 people transitioned from temporary residence to permanent residence. The changes to Canada's temporary resident levels come at a time when Canada is coping with a shortage of affordable housing for newcomers and Canadians alike, as well as a strained health care system and high cost of living. Several polls throughout 2023 indicated a decrease in support for high levels of immigration. So guys, be ready for a big decrease in the level of new temporary workers landing in Canada as they plan to focus on the working populations that are already in the country. Therefore, make sure not to delay if you are not yet there. Remember to subscribe to this channel for more like this. I wish you all the very best. Bye.